Okay, between the OnePlus 10T and the Galaxy S21 FE, I don't think it's a difficult choice, but I'm gonna take you through this as quickly as I can so I can help you decide. And we're gonna start with cameras first. Now, the specs are right here in front of you, but you know what? Let's take a look at the photo samples right away. So let's start with photos from the primary lens. Now, the 10T cameras in general have a bigger sensor, and that's why the images are brighter. They also support better HDR capabilities thanks to that powerful chip. And so you'll see not only are the images a lot brighter, but they also retain more details in the shadows. But that doesn't always work out. Very bright photos are also subject to exposed highlights, which can then throw the balance of the entire picture a bit off. For example, in this 10T photo could not retain the blues like the S21 FE does. And even in this picture, you'll find the S21 FE photo to be a more well-rounded picture and a bit punchy as well. And in this one, the S21 FE was able to retain more details than the 10T. And look how the exposed highlights kind of ruined the 10T picture here. And you'll see the same thing in ultrawide photos. While the 10T is brighter, the contrast and the overall balance, it seems to be better on the S21 FE. But when it comes to HDR shots, the 10T really outperforms the S21 FE. Just look at how much details is retained in the shadows. And yes, it's still at the risk of exposing the highlights, which is what happened in this picture. Just notice the pillars and how super exposed they are in the 10T photo. But other than that, they're quite similar. Do note that the S21 FE has a 12 megapixel ultra-wide lens, and that just means in general, it's going to capture more details than the 10T, which is a 8 megapixel ultra-wide lens. Let's also talk about indoor photos, and they're really similar in that case. The only difference really being that the S21 FE photos are a bit cooler and the 10T photos have a bit of some warmth. And this really boils down to personal preference now. Next, in portrait mode, both did a fantastic job of, edge detection. But if you notice, again, the S21 FE has more contrast and the 10T is brighter in general. Indoors, again, not much of a difference, but I do think that the focal length of S21 FE is a tad bit better, and that also results in slightly more clear and sharp text as compared to the OnePlus 10T. But this photo really changes my opinion of the 10T. Just look at the detail captured by the S21 FE. It's so much more superior than the 10T. But in low light, the 10T definitely outperforms the S21 FE, and that's purely because of a larger sensor and a far superior AI noise reduction in low light. It's got a powerful Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 chip, which is really able to enhance the low light photos, reduce noise, and just give a more sharp image than the S21 FE. It just cannot keep up with that kind of performance. But for a phone that's using 2 generations old chipset, I think the S21 FE did not do that bad in low light. Okay, let's talk about front-facing cameras, and I really don't have to say anything. I think the output is pretty clear. The S21 FE is just so much sharper, more natural and crisp. It balances the skin tones really well. I mean, not that the 10T does not do a good job, but just in comparison, I think the S21 FE really takes the cake on this one. In terms of video, the OnePlus 10T tends to have a more natural tone, but the S21 FE does seem to be a bit more punchy, just higher contrast, and I think it handles dynamic range also quite well. Just look at the sky color and you'll know what I'm talking about. The S21 FE also is able to sharply focus, while the 10T kind of struggles, and if I tap, it just sort of blows the sky away and overexposes it. What's also important to know is that the Galaxy S21 FE has a telephoto lens, which is missing on the OnePlus 10T. The 10T has a macro lens, which we all know is pretty useless. So if you want like high quality zoomed in photos, that's only possible with the S21 FE. Now, here's a quick comparison between the front-facing videos on both the phones. Now, the S21 FE can shoot in 4K, whereas the 10T can only shoot in 1080p. So it's quite obvious that the S21 FE quality is going to be better. Now, I'm actually walking under the trees. It's a bit of an overcast here today, so it's not really well lit. So in fact, you do get an example of how it might be when the light is a little bit low. And in terms of audio, well, I'm not sure, but you're probably the one finding out even before I am. So let me know in the comments. And I don't know why. I mean, at this price point, you really wouldn't expect the front-facing camera to be capped at 1080p resolution and at 30 FPS. Just not acceptable. Alright, now let's talk about design, build and aesthetics. First, the S21 FE is lighter, slimmer and easier to use. The 10T is a bit wider, it's heavier, and that does make it not as comfortable as the S21 FE. The S21 FE is IP68 water and dust resistant. The 10T, however, is not and can only withstand water splashes at most. The S21 FE has Gorilla Glass Victus protection, which is stronger than the Gorilla Glass 5 found at the back and the front of the 10T. Sure, the 10T has a glass back which does look better than plastic back on the S21 FE, but hey, it's plastic and more durable than glass in general. So it's not a bad thing entirely. And anyway, most of you are probably most likely going to be using a protective case, right? So does the back panel really matter? The S21 FE also supports wireless charging and reverse wireless power share. The 10T? Nope. Look, I'll be honest, aesthetically, the 10T design does look better to me personally, but then the lightweight, water-resistant, and a more durable design of the S21 FE that also supports wireless charging and reverse wireless charging, I just think it's more useful and it's much more important than just looks. Now, let's talk about display. Both the phones have phenomenal displays. They're both 120Hz, super smooth and vibrant AMOLED displays, and they're ample bright, even in broad daylight. But then if I really had to choose, I did find the S21 FE display to be slightly more punchy than the OnePlus 10T display. Now, in terms of software, both phones are running Android 12, and Samsung guarantees 4 years of OS upgrade, whereas OnePlus guarantees 3 years of OS upgrade. And so even in terms of OS support, the S21 FE is a tad bit ahead of the OnePlus 10T, given the fact that it was launched before the 10T. Look, I'm not going to get much into the software, it's Android at the end of the day, and both One UI and Oxygen OS are quite feature-rich in their own ways with many options, customizations, and personalizations. I mean, you can always download an app for anything that's missing in either of the phones. What's important is the OS upgrade support, and the S21 FE beat the 10T on it. Okay, now let's talk about performance, and that's where things take a bit of a turn. The OnePlus 10T just has more raw power, and that's because it rocks the latest Snapdragon CPU, right? It's like the most powerful chip that there is right now in the smartphone industry. And so whether it's, app launching or switching between apps or booting up your phone or even gaming, all of that is going to be faster on the 10T than the S21 FE. Specifically in terms of gaming, the 10T is going to feel superior. Not only faster loading times, but also better thermal performance, more consistent smooth gameplay, and a superior lag-free online multiplayer gaming. Even when you try to export a video, the 10T will finish faster. I exported a 2.7K video out of the same video project on VN, and the 10T was almost 15 to 20% faster. Do note that I'm running the S21 FE variant with Exynos 2100 SoC and not the Snapdragon 888 variant, which actually is a tad bit faster than this variant. But here's a thought. If you're a lot into video editing and rendering on your phone, then it's possible that you're also a lot into shooting videos on your phone. And if that's the case, then I'm going to lean on the S21 FE, which has a better overall video quality, rather than depending on faster video renders on the OnePlus 10T. But if you're into gaming, then 100% the OnePlus 10T is a better suited phone. But for everyday use, it's really not going to matter. Both the phones are fast and you won't notice any significant difference. And both of them come with 8 gigs of RAM to begin with and have the option of increasing virtual RAM as well. So really not a big difference there. Alright, now let's talk about battery and charging. And that's where the OnePlus 10T absolutely crushes the S21 FE. So the 10T can last you about 20% longer than the S21 FE, and this thing charges at an insanely crazy speed. I mean, it takes OnePlus 10T less than 25 minutes to charge from 0 to 100%, while the S21 FE takes about 2 hours to charge fully. Oh, and by the way, the OnePlus 10T comes with the 150-watt charging brick. The screen has a pre-applied screen protector, and it comes with a protective case as well. On the S21 FE, you'd have to spend a bit extra to get all of those things, so just something to know. But here's the kicker. The S21 FE right now, in India at least, is selling for about 32,000 rupees, which is like a steal deal. The original pricing is 50,000 rupees. The 10T, I think, is selling for about 44,000 right now. Now, these are the prices at this point in time. Now later, I don't know, it might reduce further, it might increase, I don't know, but for 32,000 bucks, this phone is making an insane amount of sense. You know, looking at everything, and even with the Exynos 2100 variant of the S21 FE, I do think this is a better phone to get over the OnePlus 10T. It's a more ergonomic and durable design, especially with that IP68 water and dust resistance. It's got a much better camera system, a superior selfie camera, longer OS support, and the ability to wirelessly charge. All of that just makes the S21 FE a better all-round smartphone. But sure, if gaming is important to you, if longer lasting battery is important to you, and if crazy charging speeds are important to you, then the OnePlus 10T is definitely a better cut smartphone for you. Alright, that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any questions on, which phone to buy, if there's still more confusion, drop them in the comment section and I'll definitely help you out. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. I hope this was helpful. And if it was, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification icon and mark all. Really helps the channel grow. I'll see you guys in the next one.